Skillful behavior is permeated by happiness. From the book of Perfect Happiness by พระอาจารย์ประยุตโต Human beings naturally desire happiness. As Buddhists, however, we may be confused when we hear the Buddha's basic teaching summed up by the words, "Birth is suffering." This may lead to the following doubt. The Buddha says that birth is suffering. Doesn't the effort to generate happiness thus conflict with the Buddha's words? How then can we be happy? When the Buddha said, "Birth is suffering," he was suffering to an aspect of nature, to the reality of conditioned phenomena. What this means is that birth is subject to laws of nature. The natural laws referred to here are the laws of impermanence, dukkha, and non-self. All things arise, are sustained, and then pass away. Everything is subject to change, unable to maintain its original state of existence. Everything exists according to causes and conditions. These are all attributes of nature, following a natural order. The dukkha, or suffering, inherent in nature, however, is not identical to the dukkha, suffering, in the hearts of human beings. Dukkha as suffering arises or does not arise, based on whether we relate to the dukkha inherent in nature wisely or unwisely. In the context mentioned above, the Buddha was simply describing a phenomenon inherent in nature, a truth of nature. conditioned phenomena invariably conform to this teaching on the three characteristics. They are subject to impermanence. No one can validly dispute this. But if we conduct ourselves unwisely, the dukkha inherent in nature turns into suffering in our hearts. Suffering arises because people relate to nature imprudently. If we conduct ourselves skillfully, we leave the dukkha inherent in nature to its own devices. We leave it with as it naturally is. We do not allow it to create suffering in our hearts. Besides preventing suffering from arising, we are also able to act in ways that generate happiness. The Buddha said that if we relate to dukkha correctly, we will realize true happiness. The Buddha stated that suffering is something to be understood. We should understand and gain insight into suffering. Gaining such insight, we become free of suffering. Understanding suffering and being beset by suffering are two different things. The Buddha never said that we should suffer. On the contrary, he said that we should realize happiness. Suffering is only to be understood. He urged us to gain a thorough understanding of suffering in order to be free from suffering. If we relate to suffering skillfully, we will be happy. Moreover, this is possible to use suffering as a supportive condition for happiness. Take the example of arahants who have related to suffering wisely until they have realized complete freedom from suffering. These individuals realize perfect happiness. There is thus a special technique to be applied with this suffering. The Buddha said we should both understand and relate to suffering correctly. By living our lives disconcerningly, we gradually experience more genuine and reliable forms of happiness, and our suffering diminished to the extent of it being dispelled altogether. All that remains is happiness.